The Jim Harbaugh contract situation seems like it never ends, and your boy has got a great source on what's been going on in the last few weeks, what we can expect, and what Jim Harbaugh's deadline is, what he's told people closest to him, folks. Here's what happened. Michigan playing the Big Ten Championship. My sources are there. They know people close to Harbaugh. Those hotel lobbies at 2 a.m., drinks swirling, things get said, and I got the scoop on Sunday and confirmed some of it on Thursday-ish later on in the week. Kind of got a full enough story to give you guys insight into where things are at with Jim Harbaugh, what the NFL situation looks like, and what Michigan needs to do to land their superstar head coach of the number one team in the country. The number one team in the country right now, said a Michigan football announcer, Bob Uecker, back in the day. So Jim Harbaugh contract talks continue. That started to heat up in the last 48 hours or so. That talks coming out of Saturday's Big Ten Championship games, Sunday. Okay, we know where we're going. All right, we got 29 days as a Sunday afternoon, 29 days until we play. Am I your coach or not? Things were kind of rekindled between the Michigan Athletic Department, Board of Regents, Santa Ono, Harbaugh's representatives, Jim Harbaugh himself. And later on in the show, I am going to tell you the one team that Jim Harbaugh has his potential eye on if Michigan doesn't come through and give him the contract that was agreed to over 2 months ago now. I want to make sure you guys subscribe to the channel while you're here. We're going to be all over this story. I think I have one of the best sources outside of Jim Harbaugh himself on what's going on in the Jim Harbaugh contract situation. So I think I'm going to have all of the inside scoop here on YouTube. So make sure you hit that subscribe button as we're just about 300 subscribers away from 30,000. So here's what my source told me to start. All right. So James, you probably already know this, but he's like, back in October, high-level terms were agreed to. The things that maybe most people care about when it comes to contract, the coaches, the agents, the media, the fans. They want to know years. They want to know dollar amounts. 8 years, $12 million a year, $96 million to kind of take out his existing contract, which still has like 3 or 4 years left on it, to start in 2024 for 8 years, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 2031. In theory, make Jim Harbaugh coach for life, as he's going to turn 60 later this month. They would take him up through being 68 years old. Maybe he can coach past that, right? Nick Saban certainly has done so far and still looks great for around 70 years old. That Saban is right now. So that was agreed to back in October. Now, what's held that up is that this $96 million deal is initially it was Jim Harbaugh wanting to have specific language on what Michigan would allow for name, image, and likeness, right? That was a big part of it. And in some regard, maybe he wasn't as adamant about it. Transfer portal, right? Michigan has a rule where a graduate at the University of Michigan has to have at least half of their credits, or more than half their credits, come from Michigan. That's why it's been very tough to get players who are second and third year players to transfer to Michigan, because a lot of their credits won't transfer over. But lately, the holdups have come around about buyout language and the coaching budget just as much as name, image, and likeness. And not what the buyout is if they fire him. They want it to be, Michigan does, lock, stamp, et cetera, that if Jim Harbaugh tries to go to the NFL, it's so punitive that this contract basically puts an end to that talk forever. So in some ways, the 8 years, $96 million, I think is a good start. It's going to put him right up there with Nick Saban as the top paid coach in college football. It seems like a lifetime contract for a guy who's going to be 60 years old in about 3 weeks. And if the contract gets signed, that means that you've got a commitment to Michigan for Harbaugh for whatever happens with this spring, summer, maybe even a year from now, et cetera, with the pending NCAA investigation, the two pending NCAA investigations into the Hamburger Gate and then to Connor Stallions, as already served a 6-game suspension, but maybe the NCAA will come down even further if they think they need to, either to make a point or find out that Harbaugh or Michigan did something even worse than what a 6-game suspension would garner. I ask you guys this question before we continue on. Will Jim Harbaugh be Michigan's head coach next season? 2024. Will he be on the sidelines in Ann Arbor? Comment yes, comment no below. Jack, what do you think? Spot question.
I say yes. I think yes. I think that Michigan has showed the love this year by backing him with all the NCAA controversy, going to court for him, all of that stuff. I'm not going to say definitively, but I would hope that Harbaugh is feeling the love.
There you go. One comment down there from young Harbaugh, Jack Louderright. He says yes. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Will Jim Harbaugh be Michigan's head coach this year? Yes or no? Now take a look at this record he has. Like, that doesn't seem right. 84-25. I feel like that's not accurate. They've won 13 games this year. Funny enough, The official records now, Jack, he is getting credit in the official NCAA records for the Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State game. He is not getting credit because that was an institutional suspension and the head coach takes it. He was actually suspended himself by the school. So according to the NCAA rulebook, he actually does not get credit for those first 3 games of the year, the out-of-conference games. So even though with Jim Harbaugh as the head coach, they are 87-25. He is himself 84-25 as the Wolverines head coach. But their Big Ten record remains the same with or without Harbaugh. He did get credit for those games, 60-17. So what do we know is kind of going forward? What do these next few weeks look like? Because Harbaugh has a lot on his plate. He's trying to make sure that he keeps his 2024 class intact, doesn't lose anybody last minute, add a couple players before the December 21st National Signing Day. Jim Harbaugh also has to make sure that none of his players and his backups kind of look to other schools, jump in the transfer portal with the college football playoff pending. Outside of that, has to get ready for Alabama. Nonetheless, has to make sure that Michigan is recruiting at the top of college football when it comes to the transfer portal. It's going crazy. I think Michigan needs a general manager of college football. Jack, I know you know the best candidate for it. I'm not going to say names. But this next month is going to be wild. I will tell you, though, about Jim Harbaugh's deadline. He has told those people closest to him a specific deadline that if Michigan doesn't have him with a signed contract and all the things they've agreed to, he is not going to take their interest in him seriously going forward, and that might spell a jump from Michigan maybe on to the NFL. You guys are going to make a big jump too, and that is over to Prize Picks, the sponsor of today's Michigan Football Report. Prize Picks is the easiest and fastest way to play daily fantasy sports. You just pick more or less on player stats to win up to 25 times your money. Let's take a look at who I'm picking this week in Prize Picks. I've got Bryce Young. I'm going more than 185.5 yards coming up for the Panthers on Sunday against the Saints. I'm going more for Matthew Stafford. Going to make it rain versus the Ravens, more than 219.5 yards. Going more for Drake London, the Falcons wide receiver, 46.5 yards. I think he can get that against the Tampa Bay Bucks. And then Javonte Williams from the Broncos, more than 57.5 rushing yards. I got 4 picks there, Jack. You know, if I make 4 picks like that, more or less, dead simple, 4 picks, I put in $10, I get 10 times my money. If those all come true, I'm only risking 10. I win myself 100. That's how easy it is to win with Prize Picks. And it's super easy to keep winning if you get their deposit match bonus. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. You see that link at the bottom of the screen? PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use promo code CLNS. The link is down in the comments. The link is down in the description, and so is the promo code. Use that. Get up to a $100 deposit bonus. Get going with Prize Picks. Very simple to play. I can make my picks and submit them in less than 60 seconds. I've been having a ball playing it all football season long, and you will too. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Jim Harbaugh's contract deadline. So, talked to a source on Sunday. They said they'd get me more information. They were in a table of Michigan football. I don't know if you want to call them like the Mount Rushmore, but 6-7 people all in around the program, some ex-players, people close to Harbaugh, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. The drinks were flowing. Talked on Sunday, talked again 3-4 days later, and here is what we found out that I think is most important. The source tells me this. They say, if it's Christmas Day, Michigan will likely leave for the Rose Bowl the day after that, right? So Christmas Day, 25th, Jim Harbaugh celebrating with his kids. If no contract has been signed when Jim Harbaugh goes to bed on the 25th, okay, wakes up on the 26th, tentatively scheduled to head out to L.A. for the Rose Bowl in Pasadena on the 26th, right, 6 days before kickoff, he is going to take that as a sign that Michigan isn't all in on him, isn't all in on this new era of the Big Ten, 18 teams, isn't all in on playing college football at the absolute highest level. Just imagine the scenario. You've got a head coach who is there for 9 years, right, been in school for 9 years, 3 straight wins over Ohio State. You didn't think that you could do it. Nobody thought Michigan was going to beat Ohio State going into the 2021 season. And they come off a 2-4 year. You won. You beat him at home with Cade McNamara as your starting quarterback. You did it again against C.J. Stroud, who might be the NFL MVP in 2021, 2 years in a row against Stroud in their house, breaking 20 years of not winning in Columbus with a sophomore quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, who didn't even start the year in 2022. And you do it again at home. Beat Ohio State again in 2023. 3 straight trips to the college football playoff. One of 2 programs ever in the 10-year history of the CFP to start to end the regular season, going to the playoff with a top 2 seed 3 straight years. Clemson did it 4 straight years. Michigan was 2, 2, and now number 1 after 9 seasons. Your Heisman Trophy, I think, 3rd place finish in the 86 season. Your superstar quarterback, right? For a long time, he was considered the greatest quarterback in Michigan history. I don't think it's the case anymore. I think it's J.J. McCarthy. Goes on to have a 15, 16-year NFL career. Then goes on to head coach at San Diego, at Stanford, at the NFL. 3 NFC championship games, the Super Bowl. Comes back to Michigan, struggles to get over the hump, right? Takes over a 5-7 program with Brady Hoke's last year. Comes over the hump and bets on himself after a disastrous 2020 COVID season in that season. No fans in the stands. Michigan, 24 straight Big Ten wins, right? Over the last 3 regular seasons, you're 13-0, 13-0, 12-1, quick math, 38-1. Just imagine telling yourself 5 years ago that over a 3-season stretch coming up, Michigan's going to go 38-1 in the regular season. That's something Alabama does. That's something maybe Ohio State does if they are lucky, right? If they are lucky. Ohio State's never done that in a 3-year run, at least in my lifetime, and that's what Michigan has with them. Don't miss this opportunity. I do want to say one thing on this, is that if Harbaugh ends up leaving, if he ends up engaging with NFL teams, I don't think it's because, from what I've been told, that he wants to go to the NFL, right? It's that he isn't looking to leave, and the ball's in Michigan's court. Now, from what I've been told, he hasn't told them yet of this December 25th deadline. That if he gets on the plane to head out to Pasadena, he's done talking to Michigan about his contract, at least until mid-January, right? And he is going to engage with NFL teams. Now, there is one team, and one team in particular, that I was told that Harbaugh has started to open up to people in and around his circle, just a few people. Over the past month, this whole Connor Stallion situation has gone on. Who is that number one team? Who is the team that he might look for? It is none other than the Chicago Bears. Our source tells us that Jim Harbaugh's closest confidants say that he considers the Chicago Bears to be his quote-unquote NFL Michigan. If you get the analogy there, is that Michigan is where he played his college ball. Michigan, where we kind of grew up when his dad was a coach there back in the 70s. That was the team you want to go back to your alma mater. NFL, the Bears are that version of his team. He played like 7 seasons, 8 seasons with Chicago, starting quarterback there, first-round draft pick. That is his NFL version of Michigan. Go home, down-and-out franchise, potentially 2 top 4, top 5 tip picks coming up in next year's NFL draft. The source says to me, no contract by Christmas, is that Harbaugh himself will engage with the Bears if they have a job opening. So if you think about the timeline, Michigan plays Alabama on January 1st. They win that game. They've got 7 more days till the season's over, right? Natty or nothing. If they were to lose to Alabama, what would happen? January 2nd is right there. A week later is Black Monday in the NFL. The Bears might fire the coach a week prior, even if they if they have the chance, if they know Harbaugh's interested in him. Harbaugh may reach out to the Bears themselves. It's the only job that he said, if Michigan isn't serious about me, if they don't put the contract in front of me by December 25th, he himself will engage with talks with the Bears, kind of going home, still in the Midwest, still near his family that lives in this area, and a place where I was told he still feels the love. Now, he doesn't want to leave Michigan. He's not looking to go to the NFL. It's not kind of what this is, but he wants to know that Michigan is serious and that all this, bluster from Santa Ono and Warde Manuel and the Regents on Twitter, etc., wasn't just window dressing, that they actually meant that they're serious about him being the head coach now and well into the future. You got to put the contract in front of him. Quit dragging your feet, and it's time to make it happen for Warde Manuel. After Michigan seasons, right? After Michigan seasons, if Warde Manuel doesn't make it happen, all bets are off. If he goes down to Pasadena, he's focused on the game. He's not going to engage in conversations, okay? So we got less than 3 weeks here. Okay. After the season comes up, if that hasn't happened, he's not going to say, okay, we beat Alabama, we lost Alabama, we beat Texas in the national title, whatever it is. He's not just going to go back in. Michigan had their chance. Now he's going to turn some of his focus to the NFL. If the interest is there from the Bears and they're like, hey, we'd love to have you, Jim. I'd love to have me. Here's the contract. It could happen like that. 2, 3, 4 days at least. It'll become the biggest story in sports. They still have to go through the whole Rooney Rule and all that good stuff. That could happen in a matter of days. Harbaugh could be gone as Michigan's coach maybe by mid-January if that's how it goes, if he reached out to the Bears, if they indeed have a head coaching job, and Michigan kind of pussyfoots around over the next 3 weeks going up to Christmas. The Bears, the team he contacted first. Now, if that didn't work out for some reason, if he reached out to them and they weren't interested or they don't fire, Matt Eberflus was going to get fired, we think, right? So most likely they have an opening. If that doesn't happen there, Harbaugh potentially would engage in other talks with other teams if they come to him but the Bears are the one we've been told that Harbaugh himself would engage in conversations. And if the offer came, it might be like that. Not because he wants to leave Michigan, because Michigan has shown that they aren't all in on him, and Chicago is somewhere the city, the fans, and apparently the franchise, if they make a massive offer, he'd be feeling the love, which we've told you that it's been documented elsewhere, has always meant the most to Harbaugh, even more than the money he's getting paid to coach. If you guys made it to the end of the video, give me a go blue in the comments. I want to know who the real ones are. Make it all the way through this Michigan football. Jim Harbaugh, inside scoop on the future of this Michigan football coach. And I'll ask you guys to remember the date. December 25th. This could be an easy one to remember. The birthday of the great Jesus, right? Jesus Christ. Christmas Day. And also the day, if you don't hear a contract's been signed for Jim Harbaugh, that just might mean the end of his tenure as Michigan football head coach. Reminder before we go, subscribe to the channel if you like today's video. YouTube.com/MichiganTV. Help us get to 30,000 subscribers ASAP. We'll have more content for you on the transfer portal, recruiting, and the Jim Harbaugh contract saga in the coming days. Till then, go blue.